Hi, I'm Kian. I've been drawing for almost a decade now, and I've kept all my artwork in this file. There's actually more, but they got lost in the flood. Anyways, I've picked 3 drawings from this file, and I'm going to redraw them today. This is the first drawing that I picked. It's a drawing of a typical anime schoolgirl in sailor uniform. I love the art style. It kind of reminds me of Lucky Star, which I was obsessed with during the time I made this drawing. The eyes are so cute, and I love the bob. It's giving Alita. I think the live action movie came out during this time too. But let's not talk about that. This is not an OC redesign video, so I'm not gonna focus too much on the redesigning part, but I did tweak a few things here and there. The main thing is that I gave her a sweater over the uniform. I made the sweater a bit poofy, mainly to give her a more interesting shape. I also made the ribbon much bigger. It was really small in the original drawing, so I made sure to size it up significantly. And lastly, I made a slight change to her bob. As much as I love the Alita style bob, I feel like it just doesn't work, and I think the new hairstyle has a much more interesting shape, so it can help make her silhouette look more interesting. I keep saying interesting because that's literally how my character design process usually is make things look interesting. Do I succeed in making them look interesting? We won't go there. Oh, and I also changed the direction of her bob to make it look interesting. For all the 3 redraws in this video, I kept the poses mostly the same, but I did push them to be a bit more dynamic. For this one, I changed her pose and expression to the classic anime girl pose, sort of shy or flustered, blushing. Why is she blushing? I don't know, maybe she's thinking of her crush, or Manny Jacinto, or a sandwich. I don't know what she's thinking of, but she's blushing while thinking of it. I also added on her back a plushy keychain of a cute little creature that's just innocent and adorable, just to make it more interesting. I also varied the proportion of each elements in the character. What I mean by this is, in the original drawing, the length of her face, her top, skirt, and legs are all about the same. It makes the character look quite boring to look at. So in the redraw, I made her sweater bigger or longer to differentiate each of the elements a bit more. This is a useful tip to keep in mind when designing a character. Sometimes something so simple like making the socks longer could drastically change the whole design. I used to draw this character all the time apparently, because while looking through my old art for this video, I saw her a lot. Which is odd because she was never a prominent OC of mine. I don't think she even has a name. I think she was just a default character that I would draw for like practice or something. You know what? Let's give her a name. She deserves one. I'm gonna call her Tomoe for no particular reason at all. To me, Tomoe was a perfect representation of my interest at the time, which was anime. I used to be a huge anime fan. Well, maybe not huge because I didn't participate in fandom activities like going to the convention, but I did watch a lot of anime, mostly shoujo, especially rom-coms. Not that you asked or care, but some of my favorites are Oran, which was my first anime, Karekano, Maid-sama, Lovely Complex, and Marmalade Boy. I gradually lost interest in anime, I think mainly because I left school and I just have no interest in school-themed medias anymore. There are exceptions, of course, but I do want to get back into watching it again. So if you have any recommendations, please let me know in the comments. There are some anime that I'm quite curious about, like I've seen the title in passing and I wonder what the f could this possibly be about. So yeah, please recommend me some anime. And here is my redraw of Tomoe. I think I improved quite a lot, though I still think the original art style is cute. Let's move on to the next one. The next drawing that I chose is this drawing of a sexy demon guy. I love the concept. He's shirtless. Of course, I would like that. I love his 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 packs. Damn, I guess he does crunches religiously. I started with just sketching his new face. I decided to give him facial hair because I feel like the original drawing was my idea of a hot guy back then. So I thought I'd change his features to match my type now. I like guys with a bit of facial hair, not a full-on beard, just a little mustache and stubble. But you don't need to know about that. Anyways, I pushed his body to be a bit more muscular. I went on Instagram and looked at some gym bros accounts for body reference. But how do I put this? It's quite difficult to find natural bodies on there. So I just used Google instead. I also made sure to zip up his pants because he was letting it out to the world in the original. The horns on the original drawing was lopsided. It looks like it was going to slip off his head. So I fixed it and put it properly on there. Also, his wings on the original was pathetic. So I made it more dramatic, or at least as dramatic as I can make it. Though I think I didn't get the perspective quite right, but anything would be better than that. I realize now for this one, there isn't really any story. For the other two, I at least tried to convey a story about the character. For example, Tomoe was flustered and thinking of a sandwich, and for the next character, you will see later. But with him, he's just a sexy demon guy. Even his pose is just a basic model pose. And you know what? Sometimes that's enough. I was quite struggling with the colors. I started with purple, and then gray, and then I eventually decided that the classic red would be the easiest choice. I used an analogous color palette, which is easy to work with if you have a good grasp on values. But it does get boring to look at, so I made his hair a different color. Then I drew in some body hair to really ramp up the rugged charm. Again, my type of guys now. Then I drew the body marks horribly, to be honest. I do have an OC with tattoos, but not these sort of pattern tattoos. I was really struggling. I looked at some reference while drawing it, so his body marks are just an amalgamation of all the reference pics that I was looking at. For the background, I wanted to put him in hell. Well, duh. But I know that if I even attempt to paint hell, it's going to end up looking worse than whatever real hell looks like. So I just paint this glowy orange orb to sort of allude to hellfire. The blending is chunky Ana Grande. And then I tried to put a fancy backlighting. You know, sometimes your skills just don't align with your vision. I think it's not disheartening to realize that. I think it's great because it pushes you to learn more and improve so that one day you can bring your vision to life. What I'm trying to say is that I suck at lighting, but I tried and that's what's important, right? Bunch of excuses. Anyways, here is my redraw of the sexy demon guy. If we're ignoring all the bullcrap that I tried to do with the lighting and just focus on the drawing itself, I think I improved it a lot. It's definitely more visually appealing. Let's move on to the final one. For the final drawing, I picked this one. It's another schoolgirl, it seems. I love her hair. Kinda reminds me of Misato from Evangelion. There's really nothing much to say here. I actually think this drawing looks quite decent, but there's always room for improvement, of course. First of all, I decided to age her up. We already got a schoolgirl, so I thought I'd change it for some variety. You could say that this redraw is a grown-up version of the old drawing. I made her an office worker. She might be an accountant or a saleswoman, I don't know. I initially took a lot of inspiration from the office siren aesthetic, but then I did some research and I read a lot of stories about people being counseled for wearing those type of fashion to work. So I dialed it back and went a more realistic route. As for the pose, again, I kept it mostly the same, except I swapped the peace sign for a can of beer. I also changed her expression to look more tired. Maybe it's happy hour and she's just trying to unwind. I actually know the name for this character because it was written on the back of the drawing. Apparently her name is Dawn, and it seems like she was a magical girl character. I got a lot of magical girl character ideas back then. Never did anything with any of them. They were just ideas that never really went anywhere. This drawing is the latest out of the three, so I'm not overly critical of it. I've heard people say, if you don't cringe at your old art, you're not improving. I just don't agree with that statement. Look, my younger self was trying, okay? He was learning and improving slowly. I'm actually jealous of him because he had more fun. And he was just doing anything without having to worry if it looks good or not. Without him making mistakes and learning, I wouldn't be where I'm at today in my art journey. I get it, sometimes we are our harshest critics. You can see it's true for me because
What I'm trying to say is that I suck at lighting.
but I am critical of my current self because I am living in the present and can actually do something to change. If I get mad at my old self, what can he do? You know? So, all I'm trying to say is be easy on your old self. Anyways, here is my redraw of Dawn, the office worker magical girl. Though I don't think she would be a magical girl anymore. Being a part-time magical girl for no pay while working 9 to 5 in this economy? Yeah, I don't think so. And here are my 3 redraws in this video. Tomoe, Dawn, and Sexy Demon Guy. He doesn't need a name. If you've been watching up until this point, thank you, and I'll see you next time.